Hello, I'm Quinny, welcome to the channel. In this video today guys, we're going to be going through what the future is for the Challenger region on SoRare. Now when we're thinking about future iterations of the game and all the kind of developments that are in the pipeline at the moment, the Challenger region is by far and away the one that gets the most speculation circulating around it, I beg your pardon, in terms of what changes could be coming, how could they revamp it, more ways that you can basically get cards involved, you know, different ideas, that kind of thing. So I'll be talking about some things that I'd like to see, some things that I think are practical, some things that I think are possible, and then just some other stuff I'll just be throwing out there just to get your opinions and takes on it. Make sure you get involved in as much of the content as you possibly can, and anything you do see that you like, of course, and like and subscribe means a lot to me, really helps the channel, and I'm forever thankful for it. I hope you have fun, and again, like I mentioned a moment ago, any of your thoughts on changes that can be made to the Challenger region, anything that I bring up here that's maybe new information to you or old information, just let me know in the comment section down below. I look forward to reading it, and this is one of the ones where I think the comment section will be very vibrant and there'll be a lot of great suggestions and ideas and points of view, which is never to be overlooked or understated. And yeah guys, let's get stuck into it. Now at point of recording, SoRare has 142 licensed clubs. Exactly 50 of them by my count are in the Challenger region, so that's 18 from Belgium and 18 from Holland respectively. We've got 3 from Portugal, 2 from Turkey, 6 from Russia and 1 from the Ukraine. If I've missed one at this point, please let me know. But that's 50. So 50 out of 142 of course is just over a third of the whole portion of the distribution, you know, the allocation of cards that we have available to us. So the majority of players, and it's something that I've been a kind of advocate of since I've been making videos on the product, but the Challenger region is a great region for new users to go in and cut their teeth, because there's lots of different clubs at different standings, and I won't go into that in, you know, much more detail, but I think you understand the point. You can get guys at kind of lower mid-level teams, and maybe it's an up-and-coming young guy and he maybe breaks through, like Milan Van Alwijk, you know, the wee fullback who broke through at Den Haag last year. They get relegated, he did amazing, he's now moved to Heerenveen, that kind of thing. So it can give you some good opportunities at a lower kind of entry point, if that makes sense. So because it's such an active region, most users are affected by it, you know, because even the users that will maybe, or the managers that will say, I don't want to compete in Asia, MLS isn't my thing, whatever, almost everyone will find themselves in Challenger Europe, because again, if you're coming from those other demographics, European football is the pinnacle, so we're all interested in Europe to a greater or lesser extent. And because of that, there's lots of great feeder teams in this Challenger region, like your Ajaxes, Benficas, Feyenoords. You know, there's plenty of great clubs in this region that feed the top 5 clubs in terms of up and coming youth prospects, as well as just guys in their kind of prime of their career, maybe making a step up at the right time for themselves. But when we're thinking about, so realistically, how many more Challenger clubs could we get on? Now, as you can see here, I've got another little European map of clubs, and we'll zoom in and have a wee dive around with that. But there's a lot of clubs in Europe, there's a lot of countries, but there's a lot of territory here that is probably not terribly fertile hunting ground for SoRare or for SoRare users by and large, you know. So what are SoRare's primary objectives? Their primary objective is to get the top 20 leagues in the world licensed. Okay, now what the top 20 is a little bit subject to conjecture, but it's safe to say a fair portion of them already have representation on the platform, if not all of the top 20 do at this point, perhaps. Depends on your POV, I suppose. But as much as we think about challengers not being outside the top 5, there's lots of countries here that are outside the top 5. Some of them have really good clubs, some of them have got really big clubs, historic clubs, all that kind of thing. So what we'll do is we'll have a quick glance across Europe, and we'll try and find the clubs that we don't have licensed yet that we probably will. Okay, now I think we'll start with the obvious one, okay, and it's up here in Scotia, up in Scotland. Okay, so we've not got Celtic and we've not got Rangers. I think also there's a good argument to be had for Aberdeen to get a licence, as well as the Edinburgh clubs, Hearts and Hibs, and even the Dundee. There's a decent argument for the SPL being on, because yeah, there just is. The Irish clubs, unfortunately, beyond like the ones that, and you know, don't get me wrong, I would be actually really happy, and this is something I'll kind of touch on a few times as we go across this map, but any club that has a regular kind of history of getting into qualifiers for Champions League and Europa League, fair enough. I know the Irish and the Welsh clubs don't make it to the group stages very often, but like a Shamrock Rovers or or Linfield, or whoever, I don't know, the guys that are always in the qualifiers, I wouldn't see any harm in that, because also from their point of view, for marketing and engagement, it's just more users that you can try and attract into the platform. I think Denmark is one of the challenger leagues that is probably due a little bit of love. There's a couple of clubs there that you can see getting licensed in theory quite easily, like Midtjylland, Copenhagen being the main ones, Nordsjælland, Brøndby. There's a couple of decent clubs in Denmark in terms of their traditional European kind of contribution, and they're household names in the European football scene. When it comes to Norway, they've got some decent clubs in Norway as well. Of course, the most famous are Molde and Rosenborg. In Sweden, we've got a couple of clubs over there as well. I'm not going to be going through all these countries, guys, and naming all the clubs, okay? But I think Denmark is a region where we could get a couple of clubs in quite easily. So let's say from Denmark, we got the same as we'll eventually with Turkey get 3. I think Besiktas all the way down here. I think we'll be getting Besiktas. I think we'll get that at some point to complete the Turkish 3, along with the Portuguese 3 that we already have. And I think Denmark, you could get a smaller version of that with like Midtjylland, Copenhagen, and I don't know, Brøndby or something like that. In Poland, I'd definitely like to think Legia Warsaw and Lech Poznan would be decent kind of clubs to get on the market. For Austria, it's all about Salzburg, really, isn't it? Like I say, I'm not going through all these countries naming all their teams, right? But Switzerland, how many have we got in Switzerland realistically? Basel and Young Boys, maybe Zurich, Grasshopper at a push, in terms of European kind of names and whatever. Dinamo Zagreb is definitely a hot club we would want on. Serbia for prestige, Red Star Belgrade, or I can't pronounce their native way of saying their name anymore, I'm sorry. And then in Greece, we don't have the big 3 in Greece, which is Athens, Panathinaikos, and Olympiakos. There's a good case to be made for PAOK, P-A-O-K, as well, because they're a relatively big team in Turkey also, so even Greece, I beg your pardon. So even if we said 4 from Greece. So as you can see, as we kind of, in Bulgaria, there's maybe a case to be made for Ludogorets. Romania, maybe one of the Bucharest teams. Ukraine, we definitely need to get Dynamo Kiev on, since we have Shakhtar already. I don't think there's really any reason you wouldn't want to just get Dynamo Kiev on as well. And from Russia, I think maybe Rubin Kazan would be the only team that's kind of missing that you'd expect to see in European football. But my point is, guys, is we've just kind of scanned over the whole of Europe, and I think we've probably counted a dozen clubs, really, that you would expect to see on, and we'll kind of recap them, okay? So let's even just say the definites you could see joining the platform. Celtic, Rangers, let's just say out of the Scandinavian countries, without naming any of them, let's just say we got 1 from each country. So 3, okay, so that gets us to 5. Or actually, as I'm saying that, do they actually cover these guys in their package now? Because I know Austria isn't covered. So let's forget about them, okay? Celtic and Rangers 1 and 2. Rubin Kazan 3. Besiktas 4. Dynamo Kiev 5. We don't have Greece scored at the moment, so there's no point really thinking about that too much. I think that would really be it, honestly, because I say a lot of these other leagues aren't even scored on SoRare at the moment. So as much as when I'm naming all these guys, we're thinking further down the road in terms of future growth and areas they could move into or whatever. When you're thinking, wow, the challenger region could get really heavy, there's not much headway to suggest that that crowd will fill up that quickly. So let's say in that kind of minimal, the Besiktas and whatever. Let's say you get them on. That adds another 6 clubs into the 50 that we already have. So I guess it's up to about 56. Okay. But we also have, in addition to that as well, there's teams that get relegated and promoted from the full divisions that we actually have allocated already. So the Eredivisie, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly who got relegated. 2 definitely get relegated and 1 goes into a playoff situation. And with Belgium, I think it was something kind of similar. So there's new clubs that will be promoted all the time as well. So naturally, organically, if you were to work out who get relegated and promoted, you'd be able to, you could sit and say to me right now, there's 142 licensed clubs. Automatically, before they even sign any more licenses, they've got another 3 clubs or 4 clubs brand new because they've been promoted into the main division. What does that mean for the teams that are relegated? If their players stay with them in that second tier of their native division, they don't get scored for SO5, but the better players in some of those teams will migrate. They will be sold off, and they will maybe go to the team that finished like 4th from bottom because they need a goalkeeper now, or they wanted that right back, or like Milan Van Alwick goes to Heerenveen, who was a kind of upper mid-table team last year. I think they maybe got into Europe. if memory serves me right. So we've already got that. So again, we're looking at them. Let's say over the next season, the Challenger region gets up to 60 clubs, right? I don't think that really kills off the I don't think that gets us to critical mass for the Challenger region. Another, let's say 10 clubs. Because in the current format, it's just about ticking on in terms of how competitive it is. I think the new reward structure will be very generous to this region, and if we had that increase in clubs, the dynamic reward structure will increase in accordance with that. It's the way the thing's been built, so we've been explained, or so it's been told to us. But when we get this whole new restructure and whatever, what I would like to see for the Challenger region, if this isn't spread across the board, I would understand, but I would like the Challenger region to maybe get up to 6 divisions just by itself without any of the changes to like Academy League and all that kind of nonsense. Even 5, if they made it from Division 5 to 1 and they just tapered down all of the requirements and nerfed down the wins in terms of the prize pool as a result. So let's say D4 stayed the same. Totally rare, you can get 1 common in it, and it is the way they've built it. Let's say D3 is max 1 super rare now all of a sudden, and you maybe nerf the prizes like maybe 10%. D2 or D, what would then be, so D4 would now be D5, etc, etc, but you then slide a division in where it's what would be where the new D4, where you get 1 super rare max, and then you would slide. Ideally, if they did 6 divisions, you'd try and slide another one in towards the top, where there's another little stepping stone before you really need the unique card to come into play, with 3 super rares as the max, so. And then if you did that, if you had 6 divisions with all these kind of cards, then guys that are operating in that region, guys that are new to the game, whatever, have got a really good kind of native region to be growing in and expanding in, and gently kind of getting success and moving their way up the ladder, that kind of thing. Because with the likely clubs that are to come on board, I don't think there's much more need for anything terribly drastic. Now, if we look way into the future, we've got lots of other possibilities to consider and contend with. Okay, the first one would probably be like full divisions being the region, if that makes sense. So like a Jupiler competition, any of the Division 1, say they sign rest of Portugal, or if they did get league licenses for like Portugal, Russia, these types of places where they already do have like a footprint, Turkey, then those competitions, I'm not really up for that too much until like, I don't know, there's like 5,000 of each player available, where I think it's like, yeah, you could also run a full domestic competition on top of it. I think those kind of like homogenous leagues would, I don't think they're anytime soon in the offing, really, to be honest with you, from SoRare themselves. But what you also have going on in the mixture here a little bit as well is, similar to what we've seen with the one-shot league, is we could quite easily see like local, I was going to say authorities there, but local kind of outlets adopting one-shot league type strategies in terms of when their league is licensed, or when the league does get licensed, whether it be, I'm thinking like maybe Scotland or Portugal or Russia, these types of places. There might be and probably will be like, let's say, little domestic places that will want to run fantasy football competitions through SoRare, through partnerships that we struck up, because that's one of the things again that we're all kind of expecting to see moving forward with SoRare, is increasing and flexing that marketing muscle or whatever. And when I'm kind of thinking about this stuff, the thing I'm reminded about the most, I think, is like the partnership that Footstock had with WhoScored.com. I don't know if any of you will remember this, but so basically you could go onto WhoScored.com, which is a very well known, very reputable website for football statistics and whatever, and on like each player that had a Footstock card, it would also show you on the WhoScored website like their Footstock PPG and stuff like that, and there was links to the website and whatever. And this partnership was it's like any partnership at this kind of level, it's financially driven, so if SoRare and WhoScored.com or somebody else that's in that kind of realm as well, then who's to say they won't have SO5 stats on it? And who's to say they don't decide, oh, do you know what, well, to increase our traffic, similar to what SoRare data does, we're going to host our own competition, and these will be the rules and da-da-da and all the rest of it. And then when you get these third-party providers kind of popping up as well, you might start to get a bit more utility for the Challenger region, because it is the most populated region on the platform. It's the one that most people get involved in when they join the platform, for barrier to entry and the upside you can get on a lot of cards there. So in terms of making homogenous little divisions, I don't think that's in the offing for SoRare like itself anytime soon, really. But I think it's something we could see quite quickly externally from the platform itself. And then the last other thing that is maybe on the drawing board somewhere for someone is maybe they have a mirror division, so maybe they have Challenger Euro, and just for lack of a name, let's call it Alpha and Beta, or A and B, or 1 and 2, or whatever, and they could be the exact same as each other, but again, like I said with the other one, when I was thinking about sliding our divisions in, maybe they do just tame it right down. So like D1 in Euro Challenger B is where you can, it's maybe where the uniques come into it, but you don't get uniques at D2 and that kind of thing. So maybe it gives people a better chance to progress up an easier ladder as well, because it will be such a densely populated region. Because the thing with Challenger is you need to give a lot of these cards value, you need to give a lot of them places, and there is buckets of cards that will shoot around 40 points in defence and midfield all across that region. Some of them have got good upside potential in terms of a bigger transfer to a club in that territory, or maybe to somebody in the top 5 leagues or further afield, whatever. But there's a lot of cards that don't have much real utility, in the sense that why would you buy this guy here who is in Belgium, bottom end of the table, doesn't get relegated, he scores 42 points every game week, versus, I don't know, say a guy at Dynamo Moscow that costs the same price. He's not at the bottom end of the Belgian league, he's at the top end of the Russian league, and they're about the same price, and blah blah blah, that kind of thing. You need to give as many of these cards the opportunity to be deployed by as many people as possible, in my opinion, and I think that you need to have more avenues for usage. I don't think they need to worry too much about, as I say, going into homogenous leagues or anything like that. And also, being said, the reason I brought up the BeNe League as well, I just remembered I hadn't actually brought it up yet, but with the BeNe League as well, like if you aren't aware of this, as of I think it's like 2025 or something like that, 2024, the Belgian League and the Dutch League pretty much are merging. It's going to be the top 10 teams from Holland, which isn't really disclosed in this article, and then in Belgium it's the top 8 clubs, and we know like 6 or 7 of them already. They will be amalgamating into the BeNe League. We don't know exactly how this is going to work with European entries or whatever, and this was all announced like before the European Super League and whatever, and this has all been kind of signed off by all accounts. But they reckon it's going to be a 400 million euro TV deal worth league, and if it's like Ajax, Feyenoord, Bruges, Genk, Anderlecht, all those top teams, I think it'll be a really good division. When we get into that situation, let's say it's 3 years away from now, that isn't a Challenger region division anymore. Surely that becomes a surely if those two divisions get together and it goes the way you'd expect, it's full of young, exciting talent from Belgium and Holland, who are traditionally massive countries in football for producing young talent and just talent in general. On top of that, if clubs like Ajax and Feyenoord, PSV, Anderlecht, Club Bruges, they're getting this level of money, then their transfer policy changes instantly, and the only thing that hasn't really been made clear is the UEFA implications in terms of how do they get Champions League spots, Europa League spots, whatever, and what happens into the native regions, because they're talking about these guys leave and then the vacuum will just suck up from the division below, so we'll get more clubs licensed at that point again as well, so there'll be like 5 promotions from each, or 8 and 10 promotions in each division in that year when that happens. So I think then you potentially have like the top end of the Belgian and the Dutch leagues, potentially they would move into Champion Europe, and it would be the top 6 leagues, because that league, you can't tell me that's much better, it wouldn't be too far off the standard as, maybe I was going to say the French league, but the French league this season actually looks really, really high, it looks like a good season, but you understand the point, France, with the exception of PSG, doesn't have too much else in terms of, for the bystand, the neutral football fan, is like Germany does, or Spain, or whatever. So I could definitely see that happening. And then if that does happen, there's 18 teams out of that Challenger equation that we just had, 50 teams, and by the end of the year, let's say it was 60, that's 18 that go, and they maybe move into Champion Europe and buff that region up a bit. So yeah, guys, what do you think? Challenger region, what is the future of it? And again, a big part of this, guys, as well, like I was talking a second ago about like the average 40 guys, you need to give them a place, but also there is tons of monsters in this league, guys in midfield like Vanaken and Vlasic and Morioka and Pedro Goncalves, and there's millions of them, and up front, big powerful strikers, guys like Zuba, Onuac, there's lots of guys that kill and score lots of goals. Goalkeepers, there's lots of okay ones, I suppose, good couple of young ones, and defenders, there's a lot of great defenders everywhere. If you were to build up a really good Challenger collection, and you have like the majority of the big hitting guys, yeah, I suppose that's part of the game, that you do need to make the sacrifice in terms of making your selection, but I don't think that should ultimately impede how many selections. You know, I want to maximise all my cards, and fair enough, I need to make that choice of who goes into D3, who goes with that super rare, who goes with that defender. Yeah, that's cool. But if I still have this abundance of excess cards, I want to get them used and I want to get them in, which is why I think more divisions is a big part of the solution to this, in whatever way they do it. And because of things like the BeNe League further down the road, you know, the head count in that region is going to go down in theory at some point. And yeah, as I said, external third party providers, I'm sure we'll cover a lot of these kind of, you know, touch points for people who do just want to mess about with their native league and just, hey, I'm a Dutch guy and I just want to play a Divisie fantasy football and this looks a lot of fun and whatever. Then yeah, I can get behind that. But yeah, guys, so let me know what your thoughts are. What would you do to change the Challenger region? What changes do you think will come in? What do you think are the best things about it? What do you think are the biggest headaches about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff, guys. Stay out of trouble, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.